Okay, have a nice day to all of you. So that today I'm going to discuss with you about another important topic, right? So that we already have the idea about the gender theories, gender theories which relate to unemployment and inflation. So that which is comes under the part of the macroeconomics. When we consider about the macroeconomics, basically each and every country facing that currently and in future also that they're facing for unemployment and inflation issues. That we cannot become unemployment to zero. So that inflation rate also we cannot achieve zero. So then these are some burning issues, right? Burning issues, or we identified as macroeconomic issues, right? Macroeconomic issues which relate to that is common. That is common to each and every economy, whether it is irrespective whether it is that developing country or a developed country. So that whatever the country they are struggling, right? They are all are struggling to overcome these issues. So because that is very difficult to achieve zero unemployment and zero level of inflation. So that we identify as the basic macroeconomics issues like the uh, inflation, unemployment, then the business cycles. So apart from that, most of developing countries, low income countries, um, they the normally faces for some sort of balance of payment issues, right? Then exchange rate issue, then the budget deficit. So then these are also that we consider as the macroeconomic issues. Then while having some theoretical knowledge about the inflation and unemployment, that we want to know about the current trends, right? Current trends of Sri Lankan labor force. That in case of the unemployment and employment, so that all that in different angles, right? In different angles, because that is very essential. If you have that, if you complete the business economic sessions, at least you should aware about the what is the unemployment rate prevailing in the country. So then what sort of issues that we are facing for these things, employability and unemployment, but both, right? And then when we consider about the Sri Lankan context, that all the data is available in central bank reports, that we can refer central bank reports, the other sources as well, to have some sort of idea about the employability of the labor force and also the unemployability, right? So then, so that labor market consists that demand and supply. So that here, when we consider the demanders, so the demanders are the organizations. So they are the one already demanding, right? They are the one already demanding for the labor, right? So the labors, then we already supply, right? We already supply labor. So organizations demand laborers or the labor service to produce goods and services, right? To produce goods and services. So therefore, that normally labor has derived demand. So that anyway, we can identify if there is over that is demanding only so maybe that thin employees, but because of higher wage rate, that we ready to supply more, right? We are ready to supply more. So then that may be lead for unemployment, right? So there's mismatch between demand and supply in the labor market, right? Unemployment, if there's excess supply, so the excess supply than demand. So in real world that we can identify. So unemployment is actually that there's a clear definition, right? Unemployment that those who willing and able to work, but they are unable to find out the job, right? Unable to find out the job. So in another case that when we consider about the labor market positions, we can identify the unemployment also. So then if there's excess supply that may be due to higher wage rate, then we ready to supply more, right? We as suppliers, we ready to supply more, but the organization asking only very limited amount of laborers. So then there's excess supply and we can identify it as the unemployment, right? Then when we consider about actually the current trends, right? Market trends, that it is not only to uh, relate to the Sri Lankan labor market. But when we consider, but there are some special cases, right? There are some special cases that are like the here. We can identify some trends which relate to the Sri Lankan labor force that women work force participation is going down, then the aging workforce increasing. So likewise, with relate to there are some characteristics with relate to specifically for the Sri Lankan labor market, right? Sri Lankan labor market, other than to that overall labor market trends. So that when we consider about the world trends as well, right? So the world trend as well that there are some that that flexible work arrangements, right? So that and the first one we consider the adaptable skill sets are becoming more crucial. So because this sort of the challenges each and every organization nowadays facing for different challenges like globalization, technical advancements, the diversified workforce, multicultural diversity. So then because of these different type of challenges that we need especially to um, adjust, right? That we identify as separate concept also, workforce agility. Workforce agility to adjust for the workforce, right? We need to have more skills, right? So because of especially because of globalization and the technological advancement, right? Technological advancements that we need more technical skills. So that when we consider about the different age codes, right? I think that you already have idea about under the management and HRM. So they definitely explain about these different age codes that earlier already had baby boomers, X generation, Y generation, alpha, likewise. So then when you consider about this alpha generation, yes, definitely that we need adaptable skill set, right? So that very techno savvy. So then they have to that manage different sophisticated technologically advanced equipments, tools. So therefore, they need uh, more advanced set of skills, right? More advanced set of skills. And then other than that, employees want flexible work arrangements because after pandemic, that we all uh, have experienced that how we did our work uh, in homes, right? So that therefore that they already get used to. So get used to do that works with the hybrid mode, right? That time that we already did all the works online. So that remote areas, in the remote areas. So then, as well as most of the behavioral professionals already investigate the characteristics of the labor force, the values and attitudes of the young generation, young workforce. They more like to balance their work life, right? More like to balance their work and the personal life. That so therefore that most of the organization now they're adjusting the time schedule, not like 8 to 5, right? 8 to 5. So then there are some flexible work arrangements. So the hybrid mode and flexible work arrangements, under the flexible work arrangements we can consider as the hybrid mode also, but most of the time there are some different types, right? Different types that and the earlier that when we consider about the X generation baby boomers, that time there are specific time schedule that you have to report from 8 to 5. They're continuously 8 hours, right? So they're continuously 8 hours like that, but now we need to reschedule it, right? We need to reschedule it as so if you report to at 9 o'clock, then from there onwards, you can complete 8 hours, right? So if you report to work on 10 o'clock, so then there onwards, you can complete 8 hours. So likewise, there are some flexible work arrangements. You know that most of the developed countries that they are allowing this when we are that I personally aware about that there are some workers so that when they are leaving with their kids, then they drop to kids to their schools, and at that time after that they will report to work when their kids back to their homes. They also can go to again to the homes and then can feed and all the things can do. Then again they have to the afternoon can report to work uh, after doing all this. Anyhow, that maybe morning 4 hours and afternoon 4 hours. Likewise, they can cover, right? They can cover the responsibilities and the work by using this flexible work arrangement. So you know that we with this BSc work schedules, so most of the, especially the women that they want to have this sort of flexible work arrangements, right? Flexible work schedules. So that hybrid mode also that we can consider. Hybrid mode means that uh, 3 or 2 days that they have to physically report to office. Another 3 or 2 days they can work from home. Right, work from home concept that you know that is much popular in the pandemic time. So then likewise that we can use these new concepts. So that there's a trend, right? A big trend for these things. Then the typical employee tenure is changing. You know that due to this young generation that even we can label them as the freelancers, then the temporaries, then contingent workers. So likewise, uh, from all these names, we can identify one common characteristics of this young generation workforce because they're reluctant to work long time for one organization. So that's why that we identify them as freelancers. So they are not permanently bound with a particular organization. So then that may be that sometimes the big trend that you know that even though that we learn about all these HR functions, the 17 HRM functions, so other all the concepts, that if they are the only they will retain or the employees will retain only for 2-3 months, right? No need to learn even about the promotions, then then the training and development, so event handling, so whatever all the other HRM functions, even null and void, right? Pointless. So then, so that is big challenge actually. The how can we retain, right? That how can we retain this generation? And the adequate financial and mental support essential to attracting top talent. So that yes, essentially that there are some headhunting, even that Sri Lankan labor force also we can see that there are some separate organizations that they are looking for a good persons that who are performing well. Then those people that they try to acquire for other organizations. The most of headhunting firms will do that, right? So then we have to provide adequate financial and mental support to retain them, right? So then the AI's role in talent acquisition continues to grow. So then AI nowadays playing so many roles, right? So that when we consider about that some professions even challenging, right? You know that the payroll assistants, payroll controllers, no need to furthermore, because there are different the apps, right? That computer apps and computer systems like ERP systems, then the Oracle. So then different even for the HRIS, human resource information systems. There are so many the HR made, so that Power BI. So different type of tools nowadays using, and that even that we when we consider about the lecturer, right? The lecturer profession also that now challenging, because you know that the most of the when we are asking to do the assignment, then they will use AI tools. The like the Chat GPT, then Gemini or there are different, right? The different AI tool that they will use all these things. Because nowadays that AI, the plain big role, right? Artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence. So then degree requirements are becoming less common, because not only by having only the degree, right? By having only the degree is very difficult to find out the, but I think maybe that you already have idea about these things. Nowadays that they're searching more skills, more professional skills other than to the degree. So they always asking not only the hard skills, but also soft skills that you have to develop, right? So then while having only the degree, that no one cannot find out the proper job. So then experience, with the experience, we need different type of soft skills to manage languages, the communication skills, then technological skills. So then all these things may be the some challenges nowadays or labor market trends. Higher unemployment rate of more selectively for employees, because of the, especially the pandemic situation. The worldwide, when we consider about the world trend, actually their unemployability increase, right? Unemployment increase gradually. So then employability skill survey. So that there's actually a big trend for the IT professionals, that when you consider about this class comp here, that all the organizations, you know, that we can consider here the slash comp, right? So that we have to register most of the IT organization, that we have to register under slash comp. So then from there they already did the survey to find out the more top 5 technological professionals currently employed, the software engineers, development, system networks, business analysis, client support, software quality assurance. So likewise, these are new data, right? New data that you can refer when you are writing, because you know that with the technological advancement, there's a huge demand for the IT professionals. But due to that situation, I think I already output of, not open university, external degree outputs. You can see that most of the organization now already offer, so they offer these IT degrees that we are the now even there's no the vacuum for the IT that even when we consider by the current situation, actually very difficult to find out even the internship also. Right, so I don't know that because of they already freeze. Right, most of the IT organization now they already freeze recruitment. So that there may be sometimes after 2-3 years again that we can see the vacuum. But do you now when you consider about the current situation, they already freeze recruitments and the that very challenging. That also very challenging profession because always there's some change happens to the IT field. So then you should have to definitely update, right? Then the previous one already picked from the /com data. This table already picked from UGC data, right? So then you can find out actually that the current situations, likewise, which relate to the market trends to identify the market trends that you can pick some informations, right? That you can pick this information from different sites, right? Different websites. So then this one is related to the UGC. UGC data that we can see that how many graduate people, graduate students from universities, right? From universities pass out for 1 year. So nearly 13% of that 14% from the postgraduate output, right? The university output is equal to 13.6 times, something like that. So then external degree outputs like 4%, 6%, right? So then we can see that the idea, we can have some sort of idea about the education. So then when we consider about the labor force trends, when especially with regard to the Sri Lankan context, right? Sri Lankan context that there's some software that there's a huge demand for the software services, and secondly the second as a second trend that we can identify decline in workforce, right? Declining of women in the workforce. So data from Departments of Census and Statistics. So I already mentioned, and I already mentioned about the different data sources, right? Databases, so data sources that you can find out some data from UGC websites, some data from /com websites. So then these informations which are to census and statistics. සංඛ්‍යාලේඛන department. සංඛ්‍යාලේඛන department අදාළ census and statistics. So then shows decline in the female labor force participation rates. In 2017, actually that already 36.6%, and 2022 when we consider about 33.6%. So you can see that there's a trend. There's a trend for a decline of women participation, right? So then consequences of decreased women's workforce participation. But why actually? Why they already? There are some reasons, right? Reasons that why they their contribution. The contribution decline like this because there are different reasons for that. That limited childcare facilities. I mean, we know you know that when we consider about the Sri Lankan culture, that we are really born with the families, right? Not like the Western countries. With the Western countries, you know that after age, after they become the elder people, there are some elderly care. Likewise, the child care. So then, when the mothers, they already put their children to child care. When the children became grow, then they put the mm parents into the elderly care. So then, but they will not much bother about these things. That's a common. But when we consider about the Sri Lankan context, that we already have the huge bond with our families. So then, cultural impact, right? Cultural impact is there. They feel that as a mother, that they have to play big roles. Then they should have to take care their children and the husband. So then most of the uh, women's, right? Women's that even personally we already have some sort of experiences. And then even though they already uh, completed their masters, postgraduate, whatever the qualifications. So then sometimes they will give up. Sometimes even CEOs, the managerial positions also, they will dedicate, right? They will dedicate, they will give up, sacrifice because of their families. Right? Because of their families, they feel that they should have to take care the family responsibilities. Sometimes they cannot manage the work-life balance, right? That the number of divorce cases increasing. So then that very difficult to manage, right? Very difficult to manage. So then the reduced mobility, you know that not like uh, the men. So the women's cannot go here and so that if you know that in one the plant is in Jaffna, the other plant is in Matara, so that difficult to travel like that, right? So then due to job losses, that you know that due that because of this pandemic situation, there's huge decline, right? All the organization already bankrupt. Most of the organization, all actually, that most of the organization bankrupt, and some organization they already closed and back to their countries, most of multinational organization. So due to that also there's some vacuum, right? Vacuum in the positions and some jobs. So that also lead for decrease, right? Decrease of the or the decline of the workforce, especially the women workforce, right? So the another factor is aging labor force, right? The another trend with regard to Sri Lankan labor market, right? Sri Lankan labor market. So that actually that may be very, very useful for us to understand the current situation. So then I can check in the examination also that while explaining the unemployment or employment or inflation, so that briefly explain. So briefly explain the current situation. Current situation or the current um, trends, mm, current trends of labor market. So likewise that I can check that you know just not only that uh, as students who already complete the business economics module, so then they should have, right? Definitely they should have some sort of idea about the prevailing situation, right? So then, if when we consider about the aging labor force, you can see here that with regard to the age groups, different age groups that, and here actually the again Sri Lankan labor force survey. right? From the Sri Lankan Labour Force Survey, very recent data from the Department of Census and Statistics, right? We can see that 15 to 19 years age and 20 to 24 and 25 to 29, 30 to 39 likewise. So when we consider about more than 40, so that more than 40 years here from 2017 to 2023. So that's a steady increase, right? So now we have to have more than 64%, right? 64% of they are going to retire, right? That we should have, when we consider about the labor force, from currently employed labor force, 64%. 64% represent by the 40 plus, right? 40 plus people. So that means there's an indication, there's a signal, right? There's a signal so that we should have to, definitely we should have to maintain, we should have to take care so that more elderly people in near future. So because you know that when we consider about, actually I already did the research with relate to the birth rates, right? Birth rates, even in some countries, the birth rate takes negative, right? Negative percentage. That is a zero. Most of the countries zero, and in some countries even negative. So that means they will not give births, right? That's another trend actually, right? Another trend because their attitudes when you consider about the generation, right? And generations, they feel that sometimes some already have idea about even the marriage also, right? A lot of bonds that we should have, we have to do some sacrifice. So that another very big burden giving birth to children. So then due to that, they just want to live alone, and there's big trend to not to not to give birth for babies, right? So then due to this reason, there maybe those things also have some impact, right? Some impact. Then the young generations or the new generations takes the when compared to the elderly people, the lower rate, but elderly people. So that elderly people that have big number, right? So declining fertility rate, that you can see that relative increase of labor force in age 40 years or older. There's a relative increase of labor force in the age of 40 years or older. So, as well as decline in fertility rate, right? Declining fertility rate of Sri Lanka, that you can see that in 1954 that birth for women is 5, and 2024 now is only 2, right? So we know that when we consider about our grandparents families, so they already have 5, 6 members in one family, but nowadays that maximum number is 2, right? And year of average life expectancy, that is actually the 77. Those are actually that when we are considering about the development, right? Development of the economy. So that for the development, we are considering not only the quantitative indicators. The quantitative indicators means growth rate, then the inflation rate, unemployment rate. Those we consider as quantitative indicators, but not only those quantitative indicators, when we are measuring the development of the country, especially the Human Development Index, right? Human Development Index, HDI. HDI, that we have to consider about the mortality rate. So mortality means Ladaru Marana Anupatike. So mortality rate for the 1,000 births, how much? So sometimes they will consider about 100,000, right? 100,000 births. How much? How much babies will die at birth, right? Then the life expectancy. The life expectancy ratio, Ayu Apeksha. Life expectancy ratio, the other one is literacy. Saksharata, right? Literacy ratio now in 2023, our literacy ratio is 93.3. 93.3%, right? 93.3%. So then, likewise, that we can identify, right? We can identify the trends of labor force. There's a declining trend of the new births, right? New entrants as well as for the labor force, as well as we can identify the relative increase of the age of 40 years or older people, relative increase of labor force in age of 40 years or older aging labor force, right? So that we have to maintain. So how to calculate labor participation rate? So working age population from them, that means the population, labor force divided by population, whole population, right? The population into 100. So that when you are considering about the labor force, 15 to that the minimum age, the people who above 15 years, right? Above 15 years, we consider for the labor force, number of persons in labor force as a percentage of the population, for that whole population. When we consider about the whole population, from whole population, those who are above 15 comes under the labor force, that we can identify the, we can calculate, right? We can calculate the labor force ratio, right? So then we consider about the impacts of aging labor force. So then actually if that's aging workforce, how what are the consequences? What are the outcomes? What are the impacts of those aging labor forces? So when we concern about the organizational views are that definitely elderly employees absenteeism due to the ill health. So then they will report more absence, right? So then they cannot report for the work because of ill health. They are not mentally or physically fit, right? So because you know that when we consider about our older age, because we already have experience, right? So we cannot work like as young people. So then they are physically and as well as mentally deteriorating. So therefore that definitely they have to take some leave, right? So absenteeism ratio may be high. And some employees create inverted U shape of their productivity. So then that means that the simple idea is actually productivity decline, right? So the productivity decline that when we compare about the young people and physically definitely we can identify, but in some cases we cannot agree with that because for the especially for some professions like lecturers, and for the doctors. So then the retirement age is, the 75, right? Until 75 years, they can work, because that they are using not the physical act, the body parts, but the brain, right? Mentality and the brain. So cognitive part, the cognitive part. So then, uh, with the experience, that they can give the more productive outcome with the age. So with the maturity, with the maturity, they can provide, they can produce more productivity, right? So then, but this is true for more professions. When we come into when we are reaching for high age, when we are reaching for maturity, then we are physically and mentally going down. So not familiar or afraid to technological advancement. That you may also have some experiences when there's introducing now changes. Under the change and development, the subject, you can learn that how much resistance that we have to overcome when we are introducing new things, right? So most of the elderly people, they are reluctant, right? They are reluctant to embrace those challenges, those changes, especially technological changes. So that when we are introducing new things, even sometimes in our age also, that at the first times that the organization already have only one laptop, right? Only one laptop. So then most of the people, they not aware about how to handle those things, right? How to handle all these things, but uh, now changing, right? That we are using smart uh, classrooms, that we have to use some different tools when we are teaching. Then we have to prepare quizzes. Then we have to do some activities by using computers. So then, but that there's some young generation and that techno-savvy people, they already doing all these things, but there are some reluctant from the and resistant from the elderly people. So the stereotype attitude levels not accept changes easily. So then even sometimes when you are introducing that automated or the fingerprint machine. Fingerprint machine. The simple example. A simple example. So then most of the people that they resistance, right? They resistance because they get used to do that by manual methods. They said no, that we don't want to. They will not accept changes. Most of the mature people that very difficult to, right? Very difficult to change. And also that in organizational view, yes, definitely we have to pay more attention for health care, right? We have to look after. We have to look after that by providing sometimes insurance schemes. So likewise, even the country also, that savings of young generation become lesser because they need to pay for health expenses of caregivers, right? That they have to look after their uh, older parents, right? And higher number of retired workers is burden for the government budget. So normally 2% of Sri Lankan GDP that we are allocating money to give pension, and that we have to pay for caregivers. So likewise, that when we consider about the elderly, aging population is increasing. So what sort of things that we can do? And in organizational wise, that there are some negative or disadvantages, and country-wise also we have to bear some disadvantages. So then, as strategies, what we can do. So if that's actually when we know about that, if they are not fit to continue their jobs, right? There's a higher tendency for the absenteeism. So then we can ask them to voluntary retirement schemes. Voluntary retirement, we can offer that as a strategy. We can offer voluntary retire schemes in the age of 55 to 60 or before that. The flexible time schedule to work, other than blaming on late attendance or the uh, that not reporting for works, then we can ask them to stay home and do some flexible works and train and develop elderly workforce of fit position for their skill set. Or that if we are not properly skill to handle the sophisticated technology, we have to provide a proper training programs. You know that when before the pandemic comes, we already did physical lectures. We already did physical lectures, face-to-face physical lectures. But you know that due to this pandemic, that we should have to do the Zoom lectures and do activities, prepare exam papers, marking, all these things through online. So then what the administration already did, they already arranged, right? They already arranged workshops to aware about how to create Zoom account, then how to create Zoom meeting, then how can we share the screen, the things, all these things not familiar, right? Not familiar for most of the lecturers. So then they already conduct some training programs. So then likewise, those who are not don't have adequate skills, then what we can do that we can train them, we can develop, right? And also that we should have to change some attitudes that old elder peoples they cannot. There are some stereotypes, right? Stereotypes that they cannot do the work likewise. Then that we should have to develop some change mythical stereotypes and encourage productive elder employees to continue with their young generations while transferring knowledge, right? That there are a lot of, right, lot of techniques that we can identify some interns that some special professions. The last one actually in HR, right? There are different concepts also they develop, but you should have to work under the experienced person, especially the doctors. So doctors, they have to encourage work under the elder people employees. Right, the lawyers. Lawyers also have to do some the interns under the senior uh, lawyer, and doctors also have to work like that. So then, so likewise, breeding, right? Inbreeding. So that we identify it as the inbreeding concept. So then, likewise, we can use the elderly people that to grasp their productivity, right? To grasp their productivity in high level. So then another trend, skill development, right? Skill development and education, that you can see that actually when we consider about the education system in Sri Lanka, that educations that for 1 year, right? For 1 year, that how much of people, right? How much of people pass out from the while finishing their primary and secondary education, and as well as tertiary education and technical education. Education system, the earlier I already showed you that degree, right? So degree, level of completion of degree, right? So that you can just adjust that slide to here also, so that the trend of the education. So that the when we consider the Sri Lankan context, actually, when we concern about the unemployability, the higher number of unemployability represented by this education, right? Most educated people among most educated people. That's another trend, right? Another trend. I think I. Yes, the that now we are considering about the employability. Now here you can see, right here you can see that with the level of employment, that higher unemployment rate in 2023, higher unemployment rate presented by the GC who already passed GCA level and above, right? So 179. 179 thousands nearly. 179 thousands nearly. When we consider the ratio, that is 8.7, right? 8.7, but when compared to below GC, only 2.8, right? 2.8. So that most of the educated people already unemployed, right? Already unemployed because actually there's a huge mismatch, uh, between uh, the demanders and suppliers, right? So that one that we should have to the people that who are working in the education system, that we should have to accept some limitations, right? Some limitations in our education systems, because whatever the skills that expect by organizations or the labor demanders are not fulfill that requirement, right? That adequate. Because our when we consider about our education system, that more theoretical base, right? So more theoretical base. So then I already mentioned those things also here. So then when we consider about the current trends, there are so many people pass out from completing the degrees. So but with difficult to find out the jobs for each and every people, right? Another current situation, another trend. So then when we consider about workforce distribution, right? Workforce distribution among different sectors, right? So we should know about how our employment pattern, right? In sector-wise, because when we consider about the GDP, right? When we are learning about the national income, right? National income, I already taught you that national income comprises basically these three, right? These three sectors. As agricultural sector, industry, and services, right? කෘෂි කාර්මික සහ සේවා. එතකොට so under these three sector, so that we can identify under the agriculture. Under agriculture, what are the activities that we can consider is the rice cultivation, tea, rubber, the like that traditional, the traditional crops, tea, rubber, coconut, with that we can identify as traditional crops. So other than to these traditional crops cultivation, that we can see that some other crops like the cinnamon, cardamom, like that spicy things that we are cultivating, then more export oriented, most export oriented products, as well as that farming and fishing. Farming and fishing also comes under the agricultural sector, right? Comes under agricultural sector. Then when we consider about the industrial sector that mining means that patal, right? Patal karma, patal that manufacturing. So most of the manufacturing sector, especially the more contribution come from the garment, right? Then the apparel, garments mean apparel sector. So then manufacturing, then constructions. All these industries comes under the industry sector. Then when we consider about the services, tourism, banking, insurance, information, telecommunication, education, transport, all comes under the services, right? So then with regard to these sectors that we can identify how. So after identifying the sectorial distribution, so we label that as the sectorial distribution of GDP. GDP එක ආංශික ව්‍යාප්තිය. හරි. GDP එක calculate කරන්නේ කොහොමද? How do we calculate the gross domestic products? right? දළදේශීය නිෂ්පාදිතය ගණනය කරන්නේ ඔන්න ඔය output method එකට ඔන්න ඔය තුන එකතු කරලා. So that how much is the contribution from the agriculture, how much is the contribution from the industry, and how much from the service sector. So then don't mix with the percentage of that. ඒකෙන් හම්බෙන percentage එක වෙනයි. So that means more than 55% from the service sector, more than 25% from the industry, and rest from the agriculture. That is the sectorial composition, right? Sectorial contribution composition for GDP. එක එක sectors වලින් හම්බෙන දායකත්වය. හරි? ඒතර මෙතන මේ කතා කරන්නේ ඒ sectors වල වැඩ කරන ජනතාව කොච්චරද කියලා. Employability. Right? So here that we consider about the employability of the with regard to those sectors. So agricultural, how much? Industry and services. Right? The most you can see due to that free education. Right? So another key feature that you can identify, most of the workers employ, right? So most of the workers employ in service sector. When we consider about the sectorial wise employability, that we can identify most of the employees, right? Most of the employees engage in service sector, right? So like 47%, 47% from for Sri Lankan labor force in service sector, agricultural sector comparatively 25, right? And also we can have idea about the gender wise, right? By looking at this one, we can have an idea about the gender wise employability also with regard to the different sectors. But so I remember that female labor forces. Unemployment is low. That is employability that here, yes. So that unemployment rate is more than male unemployment among unemployment rate, right? So, okay, labor force participation is compared to what? So then educational attainment and employment, you know that due to. So why there's a huge percentage for the service sector because of this free education system, right? Free education system that we know that there are some challenges, but we can see that huge number of, right, huge number of unemployment persists among the educated people, right? Among the educated people, those who already complete their degrees. So because that is examination-based system, right? That emphasis on academic credentials and not much practical, right? The practical things we already encountered, and exam pressure and the mismatch of skills, right? So these things have some sort of reasons, right? Then when we consider about the unemployment, so that after having idea about the employability, right, in sector wise, right, we identify about the some trends in employability, the how much of pass due to education and aging population employed more. So likewise, we have some sectorial wise employability. After having idea about the employability, then we'll move to have and some trends also we discuss. Then when we consider about another trend, actually that the unemployment also we can consider about another the trend of the right labor force, right? So that whether unemployment is increasing or decreasing likewise. So that's why I label it as number 5, right? So then we can consider the unemployment rate, right? That when we are considering about the current labor force, the labor force is comprises with employability and unemployment. So that we already have some idea about the employee workforce, right? So that employability and employee workforce, some trends which relate to this employability. And now I'm going to discuss with you about the new trends which relate to unemployment, right? So that unemployment here, consider about the recent figures, the 2024, right? 2024 figures, the Sri Lankan unemployment rate is 5.25. The last year actually, it already took only 4%, right? But due to economic crisis and we already faced for the pandemic, so due to these reasons, now the unemployment rate increased up to 5.24. That it's like actually the when we consider about the millions, nearly 0.98 millions, right? 0.98 millions. That in 2024 already expect to employ for 49.93 and that is 10.32, right? So then here that you can have idea about the current data of the unemployment and the employment rates. Then unemployment. So when we consider about the unemployment among educated population, that you can see that as I said, with to recent years, so that large number of unemployed people, more educated people, right? And when we consider about the gender-wise, male and female, so that we can see that female unemployment ratio is comparatively higher, right? Number of female unemployed person comparatively higher than the male people, right? So then comparatively females higher than the male. Then the strategies for bridging education, so what we can do actually. We have to definitely reshape our education system, and we can have some sort of partnerships to develop soft skills, right? Soft skills of the people, and we have to identify the importance of vocational training, internship, and all these things. Likewise, while introducing these things, that we can change some patterns, right? So that mismatch we can reduce, right? So then gender disparity. So gender disparity that you can see male participation, 15 plus, right? So that this color, male, this is male participation, right? More than 15 years, right? The male participation is higher than the female participation. This is female participation, right? So male participation is higher than the female participation when we consider about the labor force participation, and unemployment, right? So the males that I already emphasized very beginning of the lecture also, there's decrease in trend of female, right? Decrease in trend of female workforce. Actually the earlier also the pattern is similar. That means when compared to male participation, female participation is less, right? Less than the male participation. Now now the trend again declining, right? Declining than previous. So then here that you can see that male participation is higher than the female participation. And here is the green line, female unemployment. Female unemployment, right? Female unemployment, you can see the female unemployment is higher than the male unemployment. Then the gender disparities, that how can reduce, right? How can we reduce that? And the gender disparity in the labor force manifests across various dimensions, reflecting some aspects include, because why? That we can reduce by using some strategies as well. Then before that, we have to identify why there's that visible this gender disparities because of wage gap. So that because we already have some sort of idea about actually that mm, for the especially for the men's, right? So that men's are more, there are stereotypes more, that men's are more stronger than the female. So then the hardy works can do only by men's, then we'll pay, right? We'll pay more for the males than the females, right? And also, you know that unpaid gap works. Even for the calculation of GDP also, we are not count the the service provided by the housewives, right? We are not emphasized much about these care works. Then lack of supportive policies and practices. Sometimes you know that mm, for the women's especially, there are some lack of supportive policies when we consider about the parliamentary the contribution for the top positions. There are some concepts like glass ceiling. The glass ceiling means there are some barriers for especially the women's to climb the careers, right? So the discrimination, gender-wise discrimination and biasness, some sexual harassments. So those things actually we can consider for this gap, right? So then suggestions, the strategies to address those disparities. We can promote equal pay and we can invest, we can encourage ladies, the women's for the by providing equal benefits and then we can remove the discriminations and the bias, mitigate or combat these things that promote women's leadership, adequate policy changes. So that likewise we can do some, we can propose, right? We can propose some, we know that we propose some strategies, right? So then the unemployment we can consider here actually should be that we can consider both way for unemployment or employment because there are some formal employees and informal employees so that we can identify formal unemployment and informal unemployment. Formal means that we know that government authorities and legally recognized regulated bodies we can identify it as the uh, formal bodies. And informal means here the clear difference between the formal and informal employability. There's a legal framework, job security is there, benefits there, contribution to economy is there. So, but most of, when we consider about the most of the employment, we can find out which relate to informal employment, right? Informal employment because Sri Lankan over 2/3 of employed. At Sri Lanka, over 2/3 of employed individuals were informally, right? So then that inequality that we can see some that actually I just focusing about the some of the current trends, right? Some of current trends which relate to the Sri Lankan context, the wage inequality in labor force, right? We can see some wage disparities, right, to our population that some are earning more and some are earning a very less amount because of this income unequal distribution of income, right? And also that impact of technological advancements. So that which relate to the Sri Lankan context also, there's a trend. And there's a trend for this technological advancements, job replacements as then the new job creations already there. So those are current trends that we can consider be due to the impact of technological advancement. Technological advancements, there are some marine manufacturing sector, agricultural sector, and service sector. All these sectors are already replaced, right? Already replaced by the new technological advancements, and those who already were, instead of those people, the machinery is already, right? So machinery is already replaced, right? And there's a new, because of displacement and new creation, that data analysis and cybersecurity, then information and telecommunication, digital services already origin, right? And as I said, par with par with the world trends. That very the first slide, as per the first slide, I already explained. Then in Sri Lankan context also, we should have to par with those world trends like shifting skill requirements, rising flexible work arrangements, uh, or these things that we have to, right? Another crucial, right? Another crucial issue with regard to Sri Lankan context, right? With regard to Sri Lankan context, that we can identify the brain drain, right? Brain drain, you can see that this is one capture from the video. So after the protest campaign last year, we got some relief, but that it's not enough. And I am planning to go to Europe country. You know that we should, due to this frustration, not due to the frustration, most of the young generation, they ready to leave, right? The brain drain. Uh, so what are the economic challenges that we have to face in Sri Lanka due to this brain drain? Because why the people that we can identify the causes, why that people ready to leave, right? That due to unstable economic conditions and rising cost of living and lack of job opportunities as economic challenges. Then power cuts and poor and glass shortage, so we already experienced the inadequate essential commodities, social and political factors, and what are the attractive opportunities, right? Attractive opportunities in foreign countries. You know that higher living standards, that they can have better education uh, and higher wages. So then to acquire all these things, they're ready to leave the motherland, right? So then that you already that very recently maybe there's some discussions, right, had with some professionals, then they already revealed that normally nearly 120, right, 120,000 spent, the thousand in 120 lakhs already, nearly 40 lakhs, right, per 1 year, nearly 40 lakhs per 1 year that's spending to build a doctor, that they have to spend net 30 lakhs, right? 30 into 420. So for 1 year, 30 lakhs. Then for 4 years, more than that, I think, more than that, even for the internship period also, they have to spend another 1 year. So then nearly 120 lakhs, right? Nearly 120 lakhs they already spent to prepare a doctor, right? So then I see that after obtaining the qualification, while spending that much of money, so then if they are leaving that without serving to country. So what will happen at all the money that we already spent actually the public money. So then the brain drain, due to this brain drain that we already faces for huge huge scarcity of the skilled workers right now, that you know that for the in the fields of medicine, the education, so that sort of professions, there's the most of young people they already left, right? So then even not only the young, actually the most matured, the well experienced one also, they already uh, left the country. And those who are already that now in those fields that they are struggling, right? They are struggling to complete the task because without adequate number of people, very difficult to manage, right? Very difficult to manage. You know that due to this, that in one case, that may be a huge burden for a economy because that we are spending a huge money, right? Huge money that for those people, and as well as they cannot exist works, they cannot complete, right? And to address the brain drain challenge that we can propose, right? We can propose that enhance local opportunities that actually that we can give that when compared to the salaries and other fringe benefits, right? Fringe benefits that which provided for those professionals even cannot match, right? So that if they earn from here that 2-3 lakhs, so that definitely they in foreign countries they can earn for month 15-20 lakhs. So then even though sometimes enhance those opportunities that we cannot offer as a country, that much of salaries. So then therefore that we cannot in one aspect cannot put the blames because each and everyone wish to have the luxury life, right? So then there are some uh, ways, the strategies that encourage return migrants and need policies to retain them. So likewise, but now when we consider about the country situation, that most of people, right, most of the people that they are leaving, right, with prevailing situation of the country, it has been increased the number of migrants. The percentage of professionals, middle level skill categories, employment has increased rapidly. So that you can see that foreign employment, how much, right? We tell 2022 that we tell to different categories, right? Different categories that have the that increase steadily, right, which led to the total departures of 40% of females, right, 40% of females and the 60% of males, right, 60% of males in 2022 that you can see that with regard to this graphs, right? And also the foreign remittance has increased only in the last few months compared to the previous year. The remittances means those who are employed. What does mean by the remittances? Those who are employees in foreign countries. So they will send money to Sri Lanka that we consider as the remittance, preshana, right? So that is one-way transaction. So we are not providing anything for them, but they will send us the money, right? So then, so these are some, right? These are some few, you see that some few trends, right? The majority of the migrant workers, like 85% are employed in Middle East countries. As a result, highest amount of remittances was received from Middle East countries for housewives, right? So because you know that 80%, you can see that here that blue color one, that more than 85% is representing, you know, that unskilled. That even though the migrant, they migrate, sometimes migrate, not migrate, but we receive remittances from the housewives, right? So that while identifying these trends, identifying these trends, the government already introduced some policies, right? They already increased the vocational training, part in vocational training, and they already enhanced national-wide digital skills because uh, you know that digitalization, IT skills really required, and social security for gig workers, they are not permanently born. So gig workers means freelancers, right? The freelancers, they are not permanently bound with the health with the organization. Then they will provide some welfare facilities, healthcare facilities, insurance facilities for the gig workers. Then another concept, the green employment. The green employment incentives, green eco-friendly workers, green workers now already buzzword today. So then there's promotion for that time. Have some entrepreneurial support programs, youth employment schemes to enhance the and flexible working legislation and promoting skill migration. So those are some involvements, right? Involvements from the government side to enhance employability, right? Enhance employability in Sri Lankan context. So then, okay, that I think that you already have some sort of idea about current trends with related to employability and the unemployment of Sri Lanka, right? So, okay, thank you very much.